Imagine walking through the silent corridors of an ancient monastery, where cold stone walls hold stories that were never meant to be told to ordinary people. In the shadows, carved into the stone, lie symbols that were placed there with purpose. They are not mere religious decorations, they are marks left by hands that carried knowledge forbidden to the world. The St. Benedict Cross is one of these symbols, a sacred object that for centuries remained hidden from the public eye. Not because it was fragile, but because its power was believed to be too strong to fall into the wrong hands. It was never meant for everyone. It was meant to protect, to seal, to guard the boundaries between light and darkness. Beneath its simple appearance lies a code that has crossed wars, persecutions, secret rituals, and centuries of silence. Monks whispered its words in Latin inside dimly lit chapels, while outside, the world thought it was just another crucifix hanging on the wall. But it wasn't. Every letter carved, every line carefully drawn, carries an ancient invocation, a call for protection against what cannot be seen. For many, this cross is an amulet. For others, a portal between spiritual dimensions. But for the few who truly understand its origin, it is a silent weapon against evil, a spiritual sentinel disguised as an object of faith. And that is precisely why its true history was erased, distorted, and hidden in the folds of time. Today, you are about to cross that threshold. You will step into a narrative that few have dared to touch. You will discover why this symbol was hidden, and why, despite everything, it has silently survived, spreading across the world like a whisper that never dies. Because the St. Benedict Cross was never meant to be found. It was meant to protect secrets. And now, those secrets are about to be revealed to you. In a time when the world was ruled not only by kings and armies, but also by invisible forces, a man emerged who would silently challenge the darkness, St. Benedict of Nursia. He was born in the 6th century, in a Europe drowned in chaos, wars, plagues, and an ever-present fear of the unseen. It was an era when the line between the physical and the spiritual was fragile, and faith was the only light that could pierce the shadows. Benedict grew up observing a world torn between devotion and superstition. Still young, he abandoned the comforts of ordinary life and withdrew into the lonely hills of Subiaco, seeking a direct communion with God. There, among caves and prayers, the essence of what would later become his sacred symbol began to take form. What few people know is that the cross of St. Benedict did not arise as a mere ornament of faith. It was conceived as a spiritual seal, a symbol forged to resist invisible attacks, to repel poison, temptation, and according to ancient accounts, to confront demonic manifestations themselves. St. Benedict believed faith should not only be spoken, it should be engraved, imprinted into matter as a living reminder of divine presence. During his lifetime, he founded monasteries that became fortresses of spiritual refuge in dark times. The most famous was Monte Cassino Abbey in Italy, the cradle of the Benedictine order and the birthplace of the symbol that would carry his name. Within its walls, monks chanted prayers in Latin that invoked the protection of the cross. They carved it into stone, wood, metal, and manuscript margins, hiding its deeper meaning from uninitiated eyes. The symbol was transmitted quietly, monk to monk, as a shield for the spirit, a secret language of light whispered through generations. One of the most well-known legends about St. Benedict tells of an attempt to poison him. A cup of wine was offered, yet when he made the sign of the cross above it, the glass shattered instantly, as if struck by an unseen force. The monks saw a miracle. Benedict saw proof that the cross and its inscriptions carried tangible power. From that event, specific prayers became linked to the symbol, forming what we now know as the Benedictine formulas of protection and exorcism. The letters engraved on the cross, such as CSPB, Crux Sancti Patris Benedicti, the cross of the Holy Father Benedict, are not decorative at all. They encode a sacred language. Around the central cross, the phrases Crux Sacra sit mihi lux, may the Holy Cross be my light, and Non Draco sit mihi dux, let not the dragon be my guide, appear, along with Vade retro Satana, begone, Satan. Each word forms part of an ancient invocation, a fusion of prayer and command, designed to create a spiritual barrier between the believer and the forces of darkness. For centuries, these words were known only to initiates, monks, and those trained in the hidden language of protection. As the Middle Ages unfolded, with crusades, wars, and the reshaping of Christendom, the symbol began to spread quietly across Europe. Pilgrim monks carried small medals engraved with the cross, often hidden beneath their robes. It appeared on church doors, monastery walls, and even city gates, where people believed it could stop evil from entering. In the 17th century, an accidental discovery reignited interest in the cross. During renovations at a Bavarian abbey, workers uncovered ancient carvings featuring mysterious letters. Unable to decode them, locals first suspected heresy or magic. Only later did scholars connect the markings to the Benedictine tradition, revealing the hidden prayers encoded within. From that moment, the cross of Saint Benedict spread beyond monasteries into the hands of ordinary believers, becoming one of the most revered medals in Christianity. And yet, despite its popularity, many of its secrets remained unspoken. The true origins of the symbol were never fully revealed, perhaps intentionally. Through centuries of persecution and religious reform, when holy symbols were burned, banned, or defaced, monks hid the cross in manuscripts, altar stones, and even stitched into their clothing. For them to lose it was to lose divine protection itself. That deep secrecy only strengthened its aura of mystery. The symbol endured fire, war, and time, surviving unchanged, as if protected by something greater than human will. Today, when one looks at the St. Benedict cross, few realize the silent journey it took to reach us. Before becoming a token of faith, it was a shield, a weapon in unseen battles. Behind each carved line lies a history of resistance. Behind each prayer, the echo of monks fighting what could not be seen but was deeply felt. This is why the symbol was never meant for decoration. It was forged for purpose, for devotion, protection, and the eternal struggle between shadow and light. Beneath its simple appearance, the St. Benedict cross hides a complex network of hidden meanings that stretches back centuries. To most people, it looks like an ordinary religious medal, a symbol of faith worn on a chain or nailed to a door. But to those who understand its language, it is a spiritual seal, a coded artifact designed to act as a shield against invisible forces. Every letter engraved on the cross has a precise function. Together they form a spiritual formula, a protective incantation that was never meant to be shared lightly. At the center, the inscription CSPB stands for Crux Sancti Patris Benedicti, the cross of the Holy Father Benedict. Around it, a circle contains one of the most powerful Latin invocations in Christian history. Crux sacra sit mihi lux, may the Holy Cross be my light, and non Draco sit mihi dux, let not the dragon be my guide. These words carry more than symbolic weight. They represent a choice of spiritual path, a statement of allegiance to light over darkness. Around the edge, smaller letters encode an ancient exorcism formula. Vade retro Satana, begone Satan, nunquam suade mihi vana, never tempt me with your vanities. Sunt mala quae libas, what you offer is evil, and ipse venena bibas, drink your own poison. To the uninitiated, these may seem like archaic phrases. To those who studied their meaning, they are commands, a way to draw an invisible line between the sacred and the profane, a barrier that, according to centuries of testimony, entities and negative forces could not cross. The power of this symbol does not come from the metal or stone in which it is carved. Its power comes from intention and vibration, from centuries of prayer, belief, and energy anchored in its form. In the Middle Ages, exorcists and monks believed that pronouncing these words while touching the cross created a spiritual shield, one that could repel forces believed to be demonic. In many monasteries, the cross was embedded above doors, on altars, and in the foundations of sacred spaces. It was not merely decorative, it was functional. What is even more intriguing is that researchers have found striking parallels between the structure of the St. Benedict cross and protective symbols from other ancient cultures. Circular seals with invocations were used in Egypt, Mesopotamia, and even Norse traditions. Although direct historical links are not confirmed, many symbolists believe that certain sacred geometries emerge naturally in different civilizations because they reflect universal archetypes, patterns embedded in the collective unconscious of humanity. Another layer of mystery lies in the phrase, "Non Draco sit mihi dux," let not the dragon be my guide. In Christian symbolism, the dragon represents evil, temptation, and chaos. But in older traditions, the dragon is also a symbol of wisdom, hidden power, and guardianship. Some scholars suggest that the use of the dragon here is intentional. It reflects a conscious rejection of shadow power, a spiritual act of choosing light over the lure of darkness. It is a battle not only outside but within, a reminder that the greatest temptations come from inside the human heart. The geometry of the cross itself reveals more layers. The circle surrounding the cross represents eternity, wholeness, and the divine. The cross at its center marks the meeting point between heaven and earth, spirit and matter, human and divine. This combination of circle and cross is not unique to Christianity. It appears in Celtic solar symbols, Native American medicine wheels, and alchemical diagrams. It seems to speak a language older than any single faith, a language of universal protection and alignment. Over the centuries, stories emerged of people who claimed to feel a tangible energy when carrying the cross. Monks told of nights when the air seemed heavy, of whispers that disappeared when the cross was raised. Farmers believed it could keep away plagues and storms. Exorcists reported that forces they considered evil reacted violently to its presence. Skeptics dismissed these as superstition. But mystics say symbols carry frequency, and the St. Benedict Cross is one of those rare keys that resonate across the boundary between visible and invisible. There is also an initiatory aspect to this symbol that few know about. In certain monastic orders, the cross was not given to just anyone. It was a sign of commitment, a silent pact between the individual and the divine. To wear it was to accept not only protection, but also spiritual responsibility, to stand as a sentinel of light. Some historical records suggest that during periods of religious persecution, the cross was used in underground rituals considered too powerful or dangerous for public practice. Hidden in manuscripts, carved beneath altars, it became both shield and secret. As the centuries passed, the Church officially recognized and promoted its use, especially after reports of miraculous protection. But its deeper, esoteric layers remained mostly unspoken. For those who know how to look beyond the surface, the St. Benedict Cross is not just a relic of devotion, it is a living symbol, a transmitter of an ancient code. When someone wears it, touches it, or places it on a threshold, they are, knowingly or not, activating a symbolic network built through centuries of collective faith. This is why the cross endures. This is why it was hidden. Its mystery is not in what it shows, but in what it whispers to those willing to listen. The St. Benedict Cross goes far beyond being a simple object of devotion. It stands as a philosophical and spiritual archetype, a symbol of inner resistance, faith, and the balance between opposing forces. When one truly observes it, not as a piece of metal or wood, but as a map of meaning, it reveals something profound. The cross is the meeting point between human and divine, between matter and spirit, between light and darkness. The circle surrounding it represents totality, eternity, the infinite nature of existence, while the cross itself embodies the axis of the world, the bridge between the heavens and the earth. For many spiritual thinkers, this union of circle and cross is not accidental. It reflects the human condition itself, the soul suspended between the visible and invisible realms. The Latin inscriptions engraved on the cross are not simply religious statements, they are metaphysical declarations. May the Holy Cross be my light, let not the dragon be my guide. At its core, this phrase speaks of choice, a conscious alignment with the light over the shadows. The dragon in this context is far more than a literal beast. It represents temptation, ego, chaos, and the psychological forces that seek to dominate the human soul. To reject the dragon is to reject the illusions and manipulations that lead the spirit astray. It is an internal battle, not just an external one. a reminder that the greatest struggles happen in silence, within the heart. In this sense, the cross functions as a spiritual anchor. It becomes a fixed point of alignment, a reminder that no matter how chaotic the world becomes, there is a constant, unshakable force that holds the soul steady. Mystics and contemplatives often speak of symbols as carriers of frequency, forms that transmit energy beyond words. The Saint Benedict Cross, in this light, can be seen as a resonant key, a vibrational anchor connecting the believer to something larger than themselves. The fact that this symbol was hidden for so long also carries philosophical weight. Throughout history, powerful knowledge has often been reserved for initiates, not because it was evil, but because it required responsibility. Symbols like this are not meant to be consumed mindlessly. They are meant to be understood, absorbed, and lived. When a symbol like the St. Benedict Cross is truly understood, it transforms from a physical object into a portal of awareness, a silent call to spiritual maturity. This also connects the symbol to universal philosophies across time and cultures. The cross at the center mirrors the concept of the axis mundi, the world axis, the point where heaven and earth meet, present in countless traditions. The circle around it mirrors the idea of the whole, the eternal found in Eastern philosophies, Hermeticism, and even alchemical diagrams. Together, they form what some scholars call a Christian mandala, a sacred diagram representing the human soul connected to the cosmos. Spiritually, this reminds us that the true battle is inward. It's not about fighting visible demons, but about facing and transmuting one's inner shadows. The phrase Vade retro Satana, be gone Satan, is less a scream of fear and more a statement of spiritual sovereignty. It's the awakened self declaring, I choose the light. I will not be seduced by what destroys me. For mystics, this is not merely exorcism, it's self-mastery. Many contemplatives describe the cross as a mirror of the soul. It doesn't just repel darkness, it reflects the hidden contents of the heart. It awakens what has been asleep. For those who carry it consciously, the cross becomes a tool of self-revelation, a way to see both one's strength and weakness, both shadow and light. It does not offer passive protection, it demands awareness. There is also a collective dimension to this symbol. Throughout history, entire communities placed the cross at their gates, on their homes and in their fields. It was believed to create a shared field of protection, a symbolic shield that united people in faith and intention. Even today, when the world seems louder and more distracted than ever, symbols like the St. Benedict Cross act as anchors, quiet reminders of a reality that exists beyond screens, noise, and chaos. When someone contemplates this cross, truly contemplates it, they are connecting with a spiritual narrative that spans centuries. It is the story of those who, generation after generation, chose to align with the light. For some, it is faith. For others, it is mystery. For the awakened, it is both. It is a living map, a symbol that doesn't just point upward but inward, guiding the soul back to its center. For centuries, the St. Benedict Cross has been surrounded by silence. It moved quietly through history, passed from monks to exorcists, from secret manuscripts to sacred walls. It was never just a decoration, it was a shield, it was a key, it was a secret. And now, as you look at it, you're seeing the same symbol that was whispered in dark monasteries, hidden between the lines of ancient texts and guarded like a weapon of light. The difference between those who simply glance at it and those who understand it is awareness. Awareness of the mystery it carries. This is not superstition. This is legacy. The Saint Benedict Cross stands at the border between two worlds, the visible world everyone sees, and the invisible one that only a few dare to explore. To many, it's just a Christian relic. But to those who have walked deeper, it is a message deliberately hidden, not to be forgotten, but to be preserved. Why was this symbol kept in the shadows for so long? Why were its prayers and inscriptions reserved for the initiated? Was it to protect humanity, or to ensure that only a few would have access to its power? Throughout history, the most powerful symbols have never been handed out freely. They've been guarded like sacred fire, because symbols like this can awaken something that words alone cannot. The St. Benedict Cross is more than a collection of letters and lines. It is a vibration, a code, a threshold between fear and faith, shadow and light. And once you understand its depth, you realize you're not just looking at an ancient cross, you're standing before a spiritual portal, a silent inheritance from centuries past. And then the real question arises, if this symbol was hidden, how many others are still out there waiting to be found? How many forgotten signs are carved into monastery walls, old cathedrals, and ancient manuscripts? Signs that most people walk past without ever noticing. What if the St. Benedict Cross is just one piece of a much larger puzzle, a secret map of sacred symbols spread across the world? Think about it. In every old church, monastery, or cemetery, symbols surround us. Crosses, circles, strange letters, Latin inscriptions. To most, they are nothing more than decoration, but to those who understand the language of symbols, they are messages, codes, gateways, left behind by those who believed faith was more than ritual. It was living power. And now that you've heard this story, what will you do with it? Will you look at the world the same way? Will you pass by these ancient signs like they mean nothing? Or will you start to look closer, to really see what has been hidden in plain sight? Symbols like this do not survive centuries by accident. They endure because they carry truths that outlive empires, wars, and dogmas. They are too powerful to be erased. Now that you know the origin, the hidden meanings, and the deeper philosophy behind this ancient cross, the journey has only just begun, because the St. Benedict Cross is not the only one. There are other forbidden symbols, equally mysterious, equally powerful. Symbols like the Maltese cross, the flower of life, and the all-seeing eye, all part of a forgotten language of power, scattered like fragments of an invisible map. So I leave you with a question. Do you believe these symbols are just faith, or do you believe there's something far deeper behind them? What would you do if you had the key to this hidden map of spiritual knowledge concealed from humanity for centuries? Share your thoughts in the comments. I want to know how far you're willing to go on this journey. And if you felt the power of this symbol tonight, don't stop here. In the next video, we'll uncover another forbidden symbol, one with secrets just as old, just as dangerous, just as sacred. Click on the video that's appearing on your screen now. Step further into the mystery. Because some symbols were never meant for everyone, only for those who dare to see beyond.